Welcome back to our immersion series. In this episode, we will be learning about arm balances and practicing some really great preparatory exercises that will support your arm balances. And we'll also add some of the bandhas in and a lot of the information that we've talked about in the previous segments as well. So I'm glad you've joined us. So we're going to start with crow pose, and we see a lot of arm balances in classes, and again, I always feel like it's just one of those poses that we kind of blow through for a minute and then we don't really ever change or get anywhere with it and increase the abilities. So I'm going to show you some prep phases that I've developed over the years that have really helped me and tons of students. So let's go ahead and start with those, all right? So crow pose is kind of that beginner pose. It's usually what's taught in most classes. So we'll start there. Known as bakasana, which really means crane pose, actually. So we're going to start with some really good prep stuff. I'll show you crow pose two different ways. Some people like to practice it with the elbows bent and the knees kind of out to the side, and where you're really just relying on upper body strength to support you. So today we're going to really focus on getting back to those bandhas and scooping the belly and pushing down, and so we can get the hips nice and high. So eventually we're going to get to where the arms are nice and straight and we can scoop the belly and pull the feet up super close to the butt cheeks, all right? So we're going to start with some prep work for this, okay? Go ahead and get the hands just shoulder width apart. Nice. And remember all those things we learned in Tadasana. So you want to take the shoulders down and back and get that space in the armpit area. And this is what gives you that stability in the shoulder girdle to support you. We've got the downward current of Shiva that we've mastered pretty much, all right? And so go ahead and lift the hips and lift high up onto the toes. So you want to scoop the belly and just deliver the knees right into the armpits. And we don't really have to put any weight on the hands yet. You can just practice lifting the hands up and then setting the hands down gently, all right? And keep the arms nice and straight. And then, Noelle, just take the feet a little bit further apart so they're hip width apart. So we want to kind of get away from that external rotation in this arm balance because that tends to push the knees apart and then we end up here. So we want to get back more into the bandhas and really scooping the belly and using abdominal strength to pull the thighs up close to the belly, all right? So now let's go ahead and put a little bit of weight into the hands and then pick up your right foot and keep both knees in the armpits and then bring that right foot down. You can keep the arms nice and straight while you do this. Pick up the left foot and keep the knees way up high on the arms and then bring that foot down. All right, so how's that feel? Good. So let's do that again. I feel like you're kind of leaning into it and putting lots of weight on the arms so the elbows are bending. Mm-hmm. Get the butt up a little bit higher. Keep the arms just super locked in and straight, okay? So we'll try that one more time. So maybe get the hands and the feet a little closer together. Yeah, perfect. Mm-hmm. Yep, and then just pick one foot up. Yeah, I like that a lot. How's that feel? It feels good. So it moves it right into where this pose is really going to come from, right? Mm-hmm. You don't really need Herculean upper body strength to do some of these arm balances. It really comes back into that center where we have our upward currents and our horizontal currents, right? So you feel that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Lift way up onto the toes, deliver the knees to the armpits, okay? And this time, we'll pick up that right foot and keep the left knee up in that armpit. Take the right leg up behind you. And then pull that knee all the way up into the armpit and be patient. Keep this foot up. And then bring the foot down. And then pick that left foot up. Keep that right knee way up into the armpit. Scoop the belly, pull the knee all the way up. And then bring that foot down. Okay? So, so what I like to do is I like to do stuff that's like way harder than the actual pose. And then it just makes the pose itself super easy. All right. You guys feel that in your guts? Good. Take that leg back. Scoop the belly, pull. Really nice. Keep the gaze forward too. I think that'll help. All right. So mastering this little exercise makes you so strong for everything else that you're going to do. This is really a challenging exercise. Would you agree? Yes. All right, so, because it's easy to just kind of hang out on the arms and crow pose, right? But this really pulls it right on into where these arm balances and that lift and that lightness is really going to come from. Yep, scoop it and pull. Yeah, I really like it. All right, so you guys are going to continue practicing this long after we shoot this video. So think about keeping that foot close to the butt, and then when you take the leg up, really push through that foot, and then scoop the belly, pull that foot way up close to the butt again, and then bring that foot down. It's almost like there's no rush to get the foot back. You know, you want to really take your time up in there. Okay. Okay. So, you want to try that one more time? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because there's, we want to do it as much as possible. Lift the pelvic floor and really scoop. Yeah. That's awesome. And keep that knee right into that arm. We've got that new bandha right up here. We love our new bandhas. Excellent. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is really challenging. It's worth a go, however. So again, we just want to make the core super strong and make the bandhas really strong. And as we build up this strength to support our support system really, then these arm balances really start to happen and they become really easy. So the next thing we're going to do is kind of that same shape in Bakasana. And we'll come into the balance, keep the feet nice and high, and then just pull one knee off, and then bring that knee back up. It's really challenging. Kind of scoop the belly, pull one knee off, and then bring it back up onto the arm. All right, you want to try that? You want to really just kind of slide the thigh right to the center of the belly. Pull the feet up nice and high. Good. Slide one leg to the center and then get it right back onto the arm. So this is a really good thing to master. It's super challenging and it's really all about the bandhas. And get it right back up on that arm. So the more you do it, yeah, exactly. Better already. Don't you think?
Definitely.
For sure. All right, so now let's just go ahead and check in with Bakasana, okay? So we've mastered all of those other elements. Now we'll just push. Get the hips nice and high. Lift the heels as high as you can. Tuck those knees up as high as you can onto the arms. And once you're up here, pull the feet up and pull and push through the hands. So it's like you're going to tilt the pelvis back. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Excellent. So that's some great prep work for Bakasana, okay? How's that feel? Good? Okay, so the next pose we're going to play around with is Ekapada Bakasana B. So this is a great variation to start practicing. If you feel like you have crow and you want to just start getting a little more creative, Ekapada Bakasana B is just one leg. So you've got two variations. This one is when you bring the leg in to the front. You come into Bakasana, straighten one leg, and kind of scoop the belly and bring the gaze forward. Good, and then lift, and pull back up to Bakasana. You guys want to try that? All right. This is a great arm balance to jump into as well. Super fun. Okay.
Should the knee be out more?
Yeah, when you have the knee tucked in nice and tight, and then you start to take that foot out, and so it's a little bit of external rotation on the leg, and then you pull it right back in. Nice, Noelle. Yep. Excellent. Yeah. So over time, you can drop your butt down a little bit, kind of pull the belly in, lift the pelvic floor, and then it's nice to get the torso as upright as you can, because I just think it looks really pretty that way. Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah. And what helps me too, and this may be kind of contrary to other yoga philosophies, but what really helps me too, and when I start extending, is I really like to point my toes, because I feel like that gets those vayus moving, and that energy moving, rather than this I feel kind of stuck, whereas this helps me kind of push and lift. All right, so you want to try it like that? And we'll do that on the other leg as well. Good. Slippery. Okay? All right. Okay. Okay, so the next arm balance that I want to teach you and practice is an arm balance called Bhuja Pidasana. So I find for a lot of people this is an even better arm balance to begin with versus crow, because it just takes it's just different parts that are doing some of the work, and we get to create even stronger bandhas in this position. So Bhuja Pidasana means shoulder pressure pose. So you really want to get the knees as high up onto the shoulders as you can and begin to squeeze in. So we've got those bandhas that we're creating, and then you cross the ankles and push and lift. So it's okay if you kind of start a little bit low and hang out on the arms, but over time, once you get those bandhas working, everything just starts to squeeze and lift, and then you just feel like you can stay here kind of effortlessly. Okay. You want to try it? Okay. So really shove the shoulders back. And let's just practice right here to squeeze the knees in, all right? Keep your hips nice and high. Let's just practice pushing the knees in toward the shoulders. Okay. You guys feel that? Mm-hmm. How's that? So that's a pressure you want to keep in this arm balance the whole time, because that's really where it's going to come from. And then it's not a lot of weight on the arms. You just push and squeeze. Kind of tip back. Really, it's like you want to straighten the legs. Good. That's awesome. All right, so let's try that again. I want to take a look at yours. Maybe we want to take the hands a little bit wider. Yep. And push in Mula Bandha and start to squeeze the knees in, and that should keep you nice and high here. Sometimes it's great big external rotation, so it's tricky sometimes. But I feel like you're working that out pretty nicely. That's awesome. All right, so do you feel like that squeezing in kind of helps support you in this pose? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's just that opportunity again to create a bandha and keep everything super light. And I like to say like high and tight, like, so you want to kind of push it all in and scoop everything and keep it high and tight, and then that becomes effortless. Okay. So the next arm balance is a natural progression from this one. We'll practice Titibasana. Okay. That's everybody's favorite. All right. So we've got that squeezing in capability. We know how to do that. And that's really all we're looking for in Titibasana as well. Titibasana means firefly. And there are two ways of doing it. You can do it with the legs parallel to the floor. You really pull the belly in and keep the arms nice and straight. All right. Or you can begin to squeeze and then scoop the belly and get your butt down as low as you can, and then begin to straighten the legs here. This is cool. You can push through the toes or point the toes, okay? So let's try that. And so all that really matters, here's what I know for sure about arm balances, and really anything that you're doing in your yoga practice, is that if we've done these arm balances hundreds of times and just keep falling out of it, and then we start to change the information that we're giving the body, like the squeeze and the bandhas and push down and all of these elements, what happens is it may not be successful the first few times, but what will happen is the more you just kind of back off to a place where you feel successful, and then go from there and add all of these elements in, and then one day it just kind of magically happens. So you just have to give the right information to the body and to the nervous system. That looks awesome. Now, really lift and let's just straighten the arms just for one breath. Push and inhale. Yeah, I love it like that. That's really nice. One breath at a time, right? Okay, so for Titibasana, Ekahasta Bhujasana, it's all about squeezing the shoulders. It's really good compression for the bony structure. And now I just want to show you something fun that I like to do in Titibasana, which are Titibasana push-ups. And these are fun and way easier than the actual arm balance itself, okay? So you can take the hands a little bit wider. You can keep the knees bent even a little bit. All right, and then just begin to push and lift. All right, so it becomes more of a balancing act, really, than anything strenuous. It's just kind of fun. Okay, you want to try that?
Oh yeah.
All right, sweet. Go ahead and face this way, maybe.
Okay.
All right. Good. The hands a little bit wider than you normally would. So you can kind of drop back onto the hands. And keep the knees bent. Did you get that? Yeah. It's just, I think the key to winning here is just taking the hands a little bit wider. My legs aren't active. Just kind of a little bit of fun. We're going to work on those in class, okay? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just bend the knees a little bit.
Bend them back?
I mean, just be, yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, how's that feel?
Okay.
That's nice. Yeah, the feet on the floor. A little extra support. Okay, that's awesome. All right, so the next pose that we're going to work on is really just basically a twist in an arm balance. All right. So if you think of arm balances and you think of upper body strength all the time, maybe you just shift that attention into seeing that this is really just a twist. All right. We're going to do side crow. Lots of new bandhas that you can create here. Okay. And we'll just start with that left leg behind the right arm. And when you come into this pose, it's quite common to hang out on both elbows, but kind of like crow with the arms bent and the knees wide. You're just letting the upper body do all the work. So here I want the bandhas to do the work, okay? So not just pushing through the hands, now the real key is to push through the feet and get the hips nice and high. And you'll feel when you push through the feet, that kind of locks those bandhas in. Mula bandha, Uddiyana bandha. You want to push and keep the arms nice and straight. Let's just go ahead and start there. And you also create this new bandha between the arm and the leg. Kind of push. Now you've got that locked in. And it's just important to repeat that movement. You really let the feet push and lift the butt. Push and lift a few times.
With the foot?
Yeah,
Like
just
here.
get the feet on the mat and just get that, start moving that current down into the feet. So they're going to do all the work just by pushing and lifting. All right? How's that feel? Pretty good? Yeah. And then when you do end up lifting the feet up off the mat, maybe consider keeping the arms nice and straight. Maybe practice one foot and then the other. Move all of that awareness right up into the belly. Yeah, that's awesome. Yep, that looks fantastic. Does it feel different to try
It
it
is
like
different
that?
when I straighten the arms.
Yeah, kind of pulls everything right into the guts again.
Yeah, it comes
Yeah.
back with those currents of energy.
Yeah, excellent. That looks great. Let's try the other side, okay? All right, cool. Push. What side were we doing? Good. Push and lift. And just let those downward currents do all the work. And really think about that connection between the outside edge of the thigh and the arm. Good. Push and lift. Nice. So now we've sent all the right messages to the body. The body knows what we expect of it. And now we can float the feet up off the floor. Push. We have a new bandha. And side crow. You can see it's just a great big twist. And if there are leg variations you guys want to try, you were in Ekapada Kaunanyasana earlier. Yeah, go ahead and do that if you want to. Push and lift. You're going to straighten that bottom leg. And then just take that top leg straight back. And keep lots
For the wire.
Keep lots of space between you and the floor. That's really the key to winning. Yep, that looks great. Let's try that on the other side. Did you all right?
I'm good.
Okay, cool. Keep those shoulders nice and high. I like a lot of space between the head and the shoulders and the floor. So I just feel like energy can really move much more effectively through there. When you get the head and shoulders way down, it kind of stops that flow of energy. And here we use the bandhas and the belly to pull everything up nice and high. And then you can start to move around and do leg variations. Okay? I love it. And those jump backs from Ekapada Kaunanyasana A are always really fun. All right, so let's do one more twist in an arm balance. This is kind of a twist and a great big hip opener. So it's known as dragonfly. Okay. So a lot of people like to come into it from a standing position. This is a great way to get into it. You kind of twist and bring that arm to the back and to the bottom of that foot, right? And then plant the hands to come into the pose. Okay? I feel like when you start from a seated position, just in these episodes anyway, we're more interested in all of those techniques that we've developed. So we get to push down, create that new bandha, and really use those bandhas to get into this, okay? So I like to do it from a seated position. So bring that leg to half lotus. And in this pose, you want to get the arm all the way onto the thigh. It's really the thigh that's going to keep the foot in place, not the foot. And this also puts a lot of pressure on the knee and on the hip. So if you rely on the bandha between the thigh and the back of that arm, to do all the work. That's what keeps the foot in place. And then push. You can see I push through this foot, push and lift. And then it's the thigh that's going to keep my foot there. Nice and easy. So it's kind of a big old twist, and a hip opener, and an arm balance, all in one. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, let's do that other side. Get that foot just kind of in line with the knee, the back of the arm all the way onto the thigh, and then push through this foot. And that's really what's going to pop your hips up, and then you keep that foot in place with the bandha you create between the leg and the arm. It's just a big old twist.
No, it's not.
No. Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, another
This is
time.
wrong.
Work on this
Yeah.
band.
Yeah. So, thank you for joining us for this episode of Arm Balances. You're welcome to take Shavasana now. You did a lot of hard work. Or join us for the next episode. Thank you. Waheguru.